Hello, beautiful flowers. This is Auntie Lura, and with me is Digital Girl.
Hi, hi.
So, we are just going to have a very quick chat about the most recent chapter, or this current story arc.
Yeah.
So,
Chapter 105.
right? I mean, honestly, like, I am just happy that our girl finally got rescued.
But is she rescued yet?
I mean, she's not in the building anymore.
I'm glad she's not in the building either, but they have a long way to go before they're in the clear. They're just in the alleyway right now. That doesn't they they made it that far.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just glad that like at least she's like outside, and I know that I know that their problems are just beginning. Like I will say that like as much as I was mad at Taeha for, like what he let happen because he did. And, before y'all hate me, just, hear me out. So I'm not going to go over the whole, well, he should have told her because he should have. I'm not going to, because I feel like we've kind of beaten that horse into the ground. But I do think that, that they do have a lot of things they need to talk about. It kind of
Understatement.
looks, oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like, Hae soo is, now starting to, like be like, hey, we like, why did you come for me? This, that, and the other, and I will say that, like, I can't believe she told him to endure it, and he's like, are you kidding me right now? So I don't know, like, I feel like this is like all shades of messed up.
Well, to be honest with you, I can't breathe a sigh of relief about her being outside of the building for a few reasons. First things first, um, there's a mismatch in obviously there's communication that needs to happen. We probably beat that horse a lot. It's the poor horse does not deserve any more abuse from the collective about their lack of ability to communicate. What really rings alarms for me is that Teja's mentality when he resolved himself to go after Hae soo after finding out from the motel manager that he quit, and I'm gonna put that in quotations, and he realized that it was shady. His mentality about going after her didn't give, I'm going to save her. It actually rang alarm bells for me because the first thing he did is like, "Oh, well, she doesn't love me. She's discarded my love. I should have just locked her up. He showed me that my love is powerless." And he was like, "I'm gonna go into that building and I'm gonna basically drag her out."
Mm.
Um, so that's a problem. So his attitude towards rescuing a woman when the motel manager was blatantly lying and you knew she was lying, your attitude towards this rescue was all messed up. Now, I applaud him for being brave enough to go into a building where shady situations going on, just him and Jay concocting a rescue plan. And he went in there, whooped everybody's ass, and was resolved to drag her out of there. Now, here's the problem. Okay. When he walks into that room, it is clear that she is in distress. And he doesn't address
Yeah.
anybody else. He addresses her and he's very angry about it. And he says, is this working? And the thing about it is like that was his mentality. Jesus, on the other hand, thought about telling him that she was going for a job interview, decided not to bother him because her motel manager assured her that this situation was all square, right?
Mm.
So when she walked into the building with her phone still in her hand and realized that things weren't right, she was alarmed tried to escape, got her phone cracked, and then she literally had to talk herself into resolving herself and enduring whatever would happen because it was her fault for daring to think that ignoring her instincts and daring to think that something good could happen. So this woman is in this room with this man who's pissed off with her, and she's like freaking out because she literally had talked herself through, hey, you're about to endure something absolutely awful, but guess what? At least Taeha won't have to experience it with you. And here he is right in front of her, and she's trying to figure out how to save them both.
Yeah, I mean,
It's sad. I'm just saying, it's really sad. So it's a
it is.
mismatch. I'm
It is.
just saying that it's a mismatch in the attitudes that they had. And despite that, like they were able to work together and collaborate and knock people out. And once he had, the ability to get her out of the building, right? There's still that looming cloud of his anger over her. Like,
Yeah.
that's a problem. So I don't know what happened once they got into the alleyway, other than that they didn't get very far and he's injured. There are men outside of the brothel because Jay had to fight some of them. They're not in the clear. They are not safe. And now they're about to have a blowout argument, which I knew was going to happen. And there's a possibility that in the scuffle, Taeha may have said something to Hae soo that was a knee jerk reaction that caused her to slap him and then be like, how the fuck did you even find me? And he's like, you knew all along.
Yeah,
Now,
which I was kinda like, "Bro, like, she didn't know that you were, like, stalking her," you know? And I guess what, like, kinda bothered me about, like, some of the stuff, that he said, and to be fair, I just wanna clarify that I understand why, he, kinda got mad about her saying to endure it. Like, I do get it,
hmm
because I think to be honest, I think what it is that he's not aware that she is trying to protect him,
no,
you
she's
know?
not. He's never
And
been protective before, so I get it.
yeah, but I think it's unreasonable for him to try to, like, put all of that on her without
Reasonable.
disclosing anything about himself, Like, how do you expect her to trust you when you can't even give her a straight answer,
You
you
don't
know?
trust her enough with even a modicum of your secrets in order
Yeah.
to forge that bond that, like,
Like, Broseph is so worried about, Minchal, and he's so focused on, like, trying to replace all of her memories of Minchal, but he's not seeing the bigger picture, you know? Like, that's my whole thing, And, like, I will say that, like, it's a shitty situation, like, any way you look at it,
yeah.
It's like you put her there, and then with, like, Crazy McGee over here talking about Taeha, like, I really feel like shit's about to go down with him because I feel like daddy is going to put some smack down, and I feel like most of that blame is gonna go on him, meaning Taeha. I think Taeju is just looking for a reason to, like, strike.
He has many reasons to strike. I think honestly, this situation, and it's been clawing at my brain for the week, the critical error that everyone is making when it comes to Jesus is they make assumptions about her actions. They make assumptions about her actions and pretend to give her autonomy, but never give her a choice.
Yeah, she never really does get a choice, and the choices that are presented to her are very limited and things that she would not pick for herself, if that makes sense.
The choices that she is left to make are not the choices that are given to her. The choices that she is left to make are based off of the circumstances that have been decided without her. Let's start.
Yep.
I'm gonna start. I'm gonna go down the line because Hae soo didn't choose to be born, okay?
Nope.
But because she was born, her father resented her. It is not that they ended up in poverty because of Hae soo. They were in poverty and she was born into it. Her mother, gone. We don't know if she dipped, died, ditched her with him. We don't know. But what we do know is that she was born into poverty. She lived in poverty. Her father drank will if they were in poverty. And he blamed her for their circumstances to the point he said we should just die.
Yeah.
Here comes along Min Shaw, who he meets not of her own volition, but he sees her, continues to talk to her. They do develop a relationship, right? It wasn't like he said, "Be my girlfriend." He basically said, "You're my wifey." Okay. She
Yep.
accepted it because he's the probably the only person that even tried to break through the wall of her solitude to be around her. But here's the problem. When confronted with her father, he says, "Let's run away together."
Mhm.
He doesn't ask her how. He doesn't have a conversation about the execution. He just takes all of his life savings, blows it on a dirty apartment, and says, "I got a place for us to stay." Never asks her what she feels or how to go about it. So she probably would have had a plan of action that would have been more feasible than what he did.
Yeah. And I think that, like, Minchell has had a tendency to, um, what's the word I wanna say? Like, I feel like he has a habit of, undervaluing that's the word I'm looking for, undervaluing, like, what Jesus has to contribute to their success, and I feel like he even from the beginning, like, he kinda looked down on her, like, I feel like I don't know,
He
maybe
called her stupid.
not, like, down, but I don't think he really thought of her as, like, an intelligent person, if that makes sense.
Well, I'm pretty sure that he had his reasons, right? Because she didn't get good grades in school. But of course, you live in chaos and you have nowhere to go. There's not really a nice little study area that's
Yeah,
conducive
there
to you
really
getting
isn't.
great grades because you don't have peace in your home. He undermined her all the time. He knew that she was beautiful, so he valued beauty. He valued that it was very clear that if he was to obtain Hae soo, there would be absolutely nothing blocking him from having her sole affection. There's no
Mhm.
competing commitments whatsoever. He, as an orphan, would be able to bask in her affection and in her attention as long as she never left him. He's like, "I don't care what you do to me, just never leave me." But the thing about it is he deemed himself the person who was going to fix everything and in the end have Hae soo.
Yeah. Like, I feel like I know that we've talked about this on the server, but I kind of feel like, and I feel like it kind of bears repeating, but I'm not going to dwell on it too much because we've, talked about it a lot. I mean, in the end, like, Minchell would treat her more like a possession than he would like a partner.
A
And
partner or a person.
exactly. And like, whereas Taeha doesn't necessarily do that, like, sometimes I think Taeha kind of forgets that, like, she is still her own person. Like, he still gives her, like, space to, feel things or, figure things out, but I kind of feel like it's like he's giving her the space, but it's like he's trying to manipulate things in such a way where he's trying to get what he wants, if that makes sense. Like
Oh, it does.
And I feel like because he's always trying to manipulate the situation, and, like, to a degree, I get it because, I mean, if you've ever tried to pursue a romantic relationship, there is going to be, like, a level of manipulation because you're gonna try to, like, put yourself in that person's orbit, for lack of a better way to put it. You're gonna, like, dress in a way where they will try to notice you. Like, you're doing all these little things to get their attention, right? And essentially, it is kind of like manipulation, but I feel like he has taken that to the nth degree. And because he's so used to manipulating her to get what he wants with her, I feel like he doesn't know how to be honest. And I don't know, I may be off base, but that's how it kind of feels to me, and I feel like like you said earlier, I feel like he doesn't trust her enough to make an honest go at trying to understand, you know, like I think a lot of it is that he's just, like, insecure, and he's afraid. I mean, obviously, he's got abandonment issues, which I think is very apparent, but I feel like that's gonna be a big thing with him. I think he needs to learn how to trust her a little bit,
You
just
know
like,
what?
you know, I don't know. I'm babbling.
No worries. Well, I think that's one of the key issues that I was about to hone in because I've already gotten the men figures and critical male figures in Hae soo's life. Taeha's now on the docket, right? His enter Taeha. Taeha started off being a little bit of a guardian angel slash shadow in the background of her life because he was never going to intervene. He did not truly directly intervene in Jesus' life until he got Minchol the job.
Mhm.
And once he got Minchol the job, he saw that her situation wasn't getting better. So he made the decision to step forward and directly interfere in Jesus' life.
Mhm.
Now, his tactics, of course, weren't necessarily like, I don't think all of it was manipulation. But then again, he did say there's no such thing as a coincidence. He made himself present to the point where she could not notice his existence, right?
Yeah.
Once he had her attention, that is the problems that come in. That is the problem. His Actually, once he got her attention, I do think the fact that he was able to gain her attention fucked him up
Yeah.
because it's like a drug. Once you taste get a taste, you never can unknow what it feels like for that first high.
Definitely.
That first high of getting to see her. So he was willing to try any tactic to make sure that she could pay attention to him. And that is where he fucked up. Because first and foremost, when he first got her attention, she thought he was well off young guy. He decided to change her perception of him to an unfortunate, still handsome, well off guy. He portrayed himself as, well, my family situation is unfortunate. Look at my dirty shoes.
Mm,
He did that. Now, he discarded that particular portrayal of himself very quickly, but he established that. Okay?
yes. Mhm.
He established that impression and came to her more than once with bruises to further solidify that image and impression of him having an unfortunate situation, having an unfortunate life, having a fortunate family situation. Yes, his family situation is unfortunate, but in that point in time, none of those bruises came from the beyonds. That was him in the streets being a vigilante and asking people to hit him in the face so he could go to Hae soo and get her attention with those bruises. So he created this impression of this unfortunate person. Okay.
Yeah, he did.
And he fucked himself. Okay.
He really
Now
did.
he wanted her to see him as a man. So he walking around, he not wearing those unfortunate, he ain't wearing those shoes again. He got people working on a job for her. He's doing all of these things, right? That are counter to the impression that he made that he's unfortunate, that doesn't have money, that his home life is not good. He doesn't feel comfortable going home when he's sick because he made her think he was sick so she could go to the apartment to catch him
Yeah.
in Shaw. He did this, okay?
Yeah, he did. And honestly, I found that to be very problematic.
Yep.
Like, and don't get me wrong, like I get the motivation behind it, right? Like I get what he was trying to do. In a way he was being very selfish. I mean, yeah, it worked out in her favor because she got rid of a dead weight around her neck, but at the same time, like I feel like he kind of forced her to make a choice, and I think he
Yes.
forced her to face what she kind of already knew. And although I feel like that is something she needed to do, I don't know, like I have feelings about it. And it's like,
I agree. That was
you know,
manipulation. It was a
yeah,
manipulation, Auntie. It was manipulation. It needed to happen, but the way that it happened helped further cement the impression that he made, built of himself for her, that now is baked into how she perceives him.
yeah,
Now you frustrated with the mold that you've created. She's out here. She sees him as a man, but she doesn't know his background.
mm-mm,
She doesn't know his home life. He doesn't know his financial circumstances, and she don't want to make any assumptions because he's already set the impression. So what she is trying to do is make it so that he has the option of a safe space, okay?
mm.
Without being burdened by having to assume the duty of making it because she has to move out of that apartment.
Yeah,
She
she
has
really
to move
does.
because she's not safe there. And I'm not talking about Teju. I'm not talking about Taeha. Those are two of many options that make her. Min Shaw actually does not believe in consent. He puts his hands on her now. She is not safe in that home as long as Min Shaw has access to it.
Yeah. I
So he has
mean, and
to
that's
leave.
something that like I'm hoping that will happen is that, she'll get out of there. And I'm
Hope
really
so.
hoping that like homeboy, will finally tell her, "Let me help you." You
Yeah,
know.
but he needs to. He's gonna have to open up that stoic little foxy mouth and say that blatantly because don't nobody read between the lines.
Yeah, not those two. Like if it
No,
was
and
like a
wouldn't
different
either.
couple, like for sure,
My
but
girl, let's
yeah.
be real. She knows nothing about his background. When he was asked, and we've already beaten this dead horse, when she asked him what he did for a living, he could say, 'cause I went to college, got a really good job at an office. Like literally, okay? It's hard to be like, you know what? Pretty good office job because I went to school. It was tough for a while, but you know what? I got a pretty good job now.
Mhm. Yeah.
I can help you. He don't open his mouth and say nothing. So when you've already built this impression, now she's seeing you in these suits. She's not going to ask you for money. She's not that
Exactly.
type, and I get that because am a hyper independent person. I would never go out my face and say, "Help me move out of my place" to somebody
Yeah,
that
I'm
I
kind
don't
of
know.
with you on that.
Like she's trying to like literally, regardless of whether he's there or not, she has to move. She's looking for a place. She's looking for a job. Now, the problem comes in, like I said, is like you build this whole image of yourself and then you feel all fucked up about it because she's literally envisioning you through the mold, through the lens that you crafted. And
Mhm.
you keep secrets. You're not transparent about anything about yourself or anything that you do, and you expect her to like come to you and come begging for like help and money and to be able to lean on you that way. But you don't even lean on her that way.
Yeah,
Like that's crazy. That's
it is.
wild work. Like if you're not laying, like if you're not gonna, and then another thing that pisses me off, okay, is he knows she works like 3 jobs. He knows, right? At no point in time has he was able to manipulate and get Mentrol a job. At no point in time did he say, "Let me try to like maneuver something for her on a low." He didn't.
Yeah,
So
you're right on that, and that's often something that I kinda wondered about, because if you're gonna go out of your way to help her deadbeat ex, why don't you help her out?
yeah,
Especially now, because I'm sure that there's probably some challenges, like, I know some jobs, want you to have, like, some kinda college degree, even
mm-hmm,
though it's just being like a Walmart greeter, and obviously I'm just being sarcastic there, but I know some jobs do want you to have, like, a college degree, but I'm sure that he could probably find something entry level for her, that
absolutely.
doesn't
That
require.
pays far more than a flower shop and the KBBQ spot. Like I'm just, but he doesn't want that, Auntie. He wants her to stop working altogether because every time he's with her, he stays. He's like, "Can't you just stay?" No, she can't. She has to pay rent. She has to keep a roof over her head. She has debt. She don't tell him, "Oh, I'm living in debt." We've never seen in the 87, 88 chapters, she never says, "Hey, you know what? I'm living in debt. I
Yeah.
am in debt up to my ears." She never says that to him. She never talks her finances. She's just like, "Yo, I'm too old for you." And then she
Mhm.
just gave up on having that conversation because old boy was like, "This is what I like." And she was like, "You know what? You like it. I love it. You want to be with me. I'm going to accept you, poor boy. And what I'm going to do, which is within my control, is see if I can make it so that if you want to come deal with me, you can do so in a space that won't be like a cardboard box."
Yeah.
He
Mhm.
mad at her for that. And he hasn't helped her get a job. What he has done is send Jay whenever he's trying to hold on to her.
Yep.
He quit a job so she could spend more time with him, but he's never offered her an alternative that would actually be feasible, practical, and expected with the kind of image that he's built of himself and then basically backed him on his own ass up into a wall.
Yeah, he really did do it to himself,
Did
like,
it to
he
himself.
really did, because it's, like, one thing to not wanna talk about, like, your past or your family, but if you're wanting somebody to be your ride or die, if you want that person to, like, be with you in a long-term commitment, that is shit they need to know upfront. You
Up
know,
front.
you have to it's kinda like, when you go to buy a house, you need the full disclosure to know what you're getting into. You need to know about the leaky faucet or the foundation that might have a crack in it. I mean, these are things you need to know, like, let the buyer beware, and
Yes.
he has not done any of that. Like, he hints around, and I mean, sure, he does have, like, obviously he has, like, history of abuse in his family, but the fact of the matter is he's basically, like, blindsiding her, and this is something that, like, we were kinda talking about in the deep discussion part of the Discord, where I was kinda saying, that she is on unequal footing with him, and it's not fair that he knows so much about her, but she knows next to nothing about him, you
And
know? And I just
Ooh.
and it really like, that really grinds my gears, to the fact that there's such unequal footing and, and I get the whole thing that they don't know how to communicate. I get it, I get it, I get it, I get it. I understand. I know, my beautiful flowers. Auntie knows, okay? But at the same time, why would you not prepare the woman that you supposedly love to let her know that shit might be rolling down, especially after, like, what, 10 chapters almost ago, like, you had to run for your life because people were fucking chasing you, and,
Hello?
and you don't say anything about that, not even letting
Hello?
her know it could happen again, and to be careful when strange people approach you. Like,
Hello?
come on, bro, really? You just expect
Yes.
her to take all of this at blind faith. You put the responsibility of her needing help, you put that on her to call you and then get mad when it doesn't happen. You got, and I mean, I could see why he would be mad when, when she told him, I went home instead of telling him, oh, I went to a job interview. I get it. But at the same time, you gave her nothing to work with, you know?
Nothing.
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 Not a zip,
Nothing.
zero zilch. Bro.
Nothing to look out for. No reason to wonder why you need to call for protection, right? And
Yeah.
I'm gonna hone in on another thing, Auntie, because this is real important. When it comes to a power imbalance, it is clearly skewed. Hae soo has no clue about Taeha's life. That is correct. She
Mhm.
also does not have any money or any power to skew the balance in any way between her, Taeha, and Taeha's family. Let's start there. Now, Taeha knows stuff about Hae soo, okay?
Mhm.
Or Hae
Mhm.
soo, depending on who we talk to. But he doesn't know enough. And let me make that clear. He knows a lot, but he doesn't know enough about Hae soo,
No, he really doesn't.
because he is an outsider who had an opportunity to look through the thin veneer of her relationship with Minchal, but he has no clue about what happens within the walls of her home. He cannot see there. He is not omniscient. So he has no inkling of the level of damage that she has suffered from her relationship with Minchal. He only knows what an outsider looking in knows. So he
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
know enough
true.
about Hey Sue to properly judge how she will react in situations. He knows nothing. He knows everything. He knows nothing. He knows more than she does about him. You know,
Mhm.
he knows nothing about him. He knows more about her than she knows about him, but he doesn't know enough because woe is me over there and properly leverage what he did know about her to fuck himself over.
Mhm.
And now here we are right now outside the brothel in an alleyway that is not safe with him being stabbed in the shoulder, her with no shoes on, and a dress she can't even really run in. And they are arguing because she's asking the one critical question that she might have should have asked a long time ago. Do you know all the places I work?
Mhm.
How are you finding me?
Yeah. I don't
Oh,
think that
and
ever occurred to her though, you know?
you know what? I think she was willing to let it go because anytime he would show up is because she really wanted him there. He
Yeah.
was willing. She associated with him good things, okay? And she considered him a little bit of good fortune in a shitty life that she had. And I can't be mad at her for being like, well, you know what? He shows up when I really want him the most. And
Yeah. I
sometimes
can't
he
fault her
doesn't
for that either.
show up enough. He don't show up enough because now his clothes are at my house and that motherfucker hasn't worn any of them. I want him to show up right now. And he shows up, right? So
Mhm.
they're in a situation that they're in because Taeha did not have the real resolution to step into her life and actually own every facet of acquiring her as a lover and a partner. He
Ye-
has given her the illusion of choice. You can keep your job. You can do whatever it is you want to do. I'll move things around you so that you can do as you please. Except the problem is as you move things around, those things are also autonomous and move towards her and cause her danger. And you're very aware of the danger that your father and your brother and all can do to this woman. But you don't ever say it out of your goddamn mouth. Hey, Mintel's pretty dangerous. He came in, he beat me up. What do you want to do about that? Do you want to stay here? You don't
Yeah,
ask
I
that.
mean, what I don't understand is I get why he obviously we know that a confrontation between like Minchol and Taeha was inevitable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of don't like that he made himself out to be more of a victim than what he was.
Mm.
But to be fair, like he did kind of bait Minchol, which honestly I called this like months ago. Like, I remember when we had, like, the first date chapter, and there was a lot of talk on the server about, like, what would happen if there was a confrontation, and I was like, "Well, I think what is gonna happen is Taeha is gonna bait Minchol in order to get him to hit him, so that way he'll be justified in beating the shit out of Minchol." But everybody's like, "Oh, but Auntie, she told him that she would, stop seeing him if he, like, started fights and stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, but if he baits Minchol into hitting him, then he won't have any other choice but to defend himself." And sure shit, that's what happened. Like, he baited Minchol, and Minchol took a swing, and, Taeha performed the beatdown, which I feel like, Minchol sorely needed. He needed to be taken down several pegs, but,
And he
you
didn't
know
do enough if we gonna be real in these
yeah.
streets.
But my whole point in saying this is that Taeha likes to frame himself as, like, helpless, right? But then he gets mad when she doesn't depend on him. But it's
Because
like
he's helpless. He
exactly,
built the image.
exactly. Like, you are the one who fucking made yourself out to be, like, some poor, like, sick orphan boy, and then you wanna know why she didn't come to you when she needed help. You can't ask for money for somebody who is poor and broke. Like, you frame yourself that you are, you know, just as poor as she is, even though you're wearing all these fancy suits now, and that
Fancy
woman
watch.
exactly, and she has not asked you for one dime.
Not
If
one.
anything, she offered to get you, like, some noodles or something a couple of times.
Well, I mean, she offered noodles, she gave him a snack. She has asked for money with the idea that I want to scare this man so damn bad that
Mhm.
he will run away from me because he could not possibly afford the price that I'm gonna name. And that didn't
Exactly.
work. And then he
Mhm.
lied to her and said that money wasn't fucking real. You are the architect of your own fucking failure. I am
Yes,
so
girl, preach
sorry.
it, say it
I am
loud for the
so
people in the
sorry.
back.
And I love Taeha. Don't get me wrong, but you the
Same.
architect of your own fucking failure. You want her to rely on you, but you portray yourself as unreliable. You want her to ask you for help, but you portray yourself as fucking helpless and you can't fight. You
Indeed.
want to take, you want her to trust you with every facet of her being, and you tell her nothing about you.
Exactly.
And
And
so,
that
where is the
is what gets
You want her to choose you. If she does, the thing is, that Hae soo chooses him all the time. Even in the moment where she was about to be assaulted, she's like, at least he doesn't have to see this. At least he is safe. At least I am like the way that this woman continuously not puts him first, but considers him. And it's not always in the best fashion, but what is he to do? Like realistically, they were in Korean Epstein Island in a multi-floor maze with a bunch of scary men who dragged her across the floor
Mhm.
and threatened her life and made her get changed. You think you're gonna call one single man who doesn't have hands, doesn't have friends, doesn't have money, doesn't even own a bat. You think that, hey, I'm going to call this man to come save me? She was like, that's like signing his death warrant right now.
Yeah.
So call him anyway because her phone is gone. It's gone. So the all of these things that Taeha's expectations of her, he did not do himself any favors by building this image of himself that is completely counter to the person that he is. Now I get
Yes.
it. There's no upside to telling a woman who is in abject poverty, "Hey, I'm a chable," unless you like she's like a gold digger, which she is not. She is not. She This would have the absolute opposite effect. I know that. If he was
Mhm.
like, "Yo, I'm fucking rich. My daddy's rich," in the line of in line to possibly inherit an empire, you want to be with me? She'd be like, "Are you nuts?
Yeah.
Are your parents nuts? A divorcee who may or may not be infertile. There is nothing I can do for you. There's no way for me to repay you. You should choose better. And I need you to go do that with your life." So I know that part, but he's not giving her anything to work with
Mm-mm.
that sets him to, he is kind to her.
Yeah, he is, and I'll
He
give
is
him that.
kind to that. He is generous to her. He is loving to her, but reliable,
No,
strong,
not really, no. I mean, but even
transparent.
then with the whole, like, like, the love thing, like, what kind of bothers me is that, like, he's, like, so clingy to her. But yet the thing is that he acts like a child, but he wants her to see him as a man. But it's hard to do that when you're not being honest. Like, you are
Yep.
not showing her your authentic self,
Nope.
which we know is somebody that can be violent, but not towards her. And I'm not saying that she needs to be around that, but she needs to know like what she's getting into
Yeah.
when she
It's
is
give
with
a
him.
yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's my whole thing. Like, you aren't, like, she doesn't know you like the audience does. And, like, how can you expect her to drop everything for you when you can't even give her, like, the grace of, like, letting her know who you truly are? She can't expect you to stick up for her when you say that you got beat up by Minchal.
Oh yeah, like you
So,
act like you're getting beat up by everybody. You be in the street fighting and you come around with the bruises and you act like so
mhm.
helpless. No, like sir, now she knows part of his true nature.
Yeah, she does now.
Now she knows. Now she's just like, all right, well, in that alleyway, she was just like, all right, well, that's wild that she was like, you should have endured. She's like, but she was just like, you only got one body, barely. Yeah, barely can keep it together.
Mhm.
Why would you endanger yourself? How did you even get here? And he's like, oh, well, you knew all along that sir, that means nothing.
Yeah.
Like, Hey Sue ain't make you do anything that you done. She has never forced you, coerced you, threatened you, requested that you do anything that wasn't of normal behavior.
Yeah.
She
That
is,
is very true. She
you've
has
never,
not she has
never.
not demanded anything of him as he has demanded of her, you know?
Uh,
And, I mean, I don't wanna seem like I'm getting on, like, an "I hate Taeha" rant, and I promise
no,
that's
it's
not what
fine.
this is,
It's
but
called critical feedback.
exactly, because I mean, I will say that, like, I am glad that, like, at least, with the way that the last chapter went, at least we're finally getting, some insight on how they might be able to communicate. And like,
Mhm.
I know some people on the server are like praying to God for smut, but honestly, I don't want smut right now. I don't think it's appropriate, for a lot of reasons. Like, one, she was just almost like, essayed, for one. And two,
Mhm.
you know, after seeing all of that, like Taeha like putting a beat down and Study Bunny, I love you dearly. But Hae soo did not kill anybody. She just
No,
gave that man a
she hit
concussion.
him in the head with a Jack Daniel bottle, so he has a concussion. Only way that that person can actually die from getting hit in the head with a bottle is if he not only stays concussed, but gets like a blood clot or a brain hemorrhage, and that man is just down for the count. He's unconscious. We don't know he's dead, but she
Yeah.
did assault somebody on his behalf. That
Yeah,
is
she
true.
did. But, and also head wounds tend to bleed a lot, even though they're, like, not life-threatening, they can still bleed a lot. So, anyway, Study Bunny, I love you. Shout out.
Shout out, but it is inconclusive whether she it is inconclusive whether that man is dead or not, but he was incapacitated, and I am proud of her for
Yeah,
n
I am
there is a
too.
lovely song that should be set to this. I forget the name of the artist, but I'm going to give you the lyrics because, it is important, and this is specifically for Hae soo. The song goes like this, like, here goes. "I don't fight, I don't argue. I just hit that bitch with a bottle. Hit that bitch with a bottle." That's Hey Sid for us. Um, but no, I think honestly, Gainem, you're probably not gonna hear this recording, but if you do us a favor. If you're gonna if you're gonna draw these characters and design these characters to blow their lid, let the lid blow all the way off. Need some raw screaming, yelling. Need some revelations that are so shocking that Hasten needs a timeout because we're at this point in this story where something has got to give, and it can't be everything. And I get that because
Yeah,
screaming in an alleyway when you're still need to be escaping is not it. I need them to leave.
yeah,
I need to do it. But what
understood.
I need said this before in several conversations. There's a breaking point when you continue to push a person who time after time after time they repress their the stress, they repress their reaction, they repress their sorrow, they repress their anger in order to exist and to just move forward and move on. There is a breaking point for people like that, and
Mhm.
Hazel is way overdue to break.
Oh, yeah, she is. She is due for a crash out, like, big time. I mean, the last crash out we saw was, like, chapter 18,
And
you
it wasn't
know?
a full crash out. She was
Mm-mm.
ill and she just passed out. She did
Yeah.
not crash out. She is overdue for a crash out. Now, the problem is that she thinks that she got almost sold into sexual slavery. She might think she got tricked by the motel manager. She might even think that the motel manager didn't sell her out, but she did.
Mhm.
So she thinks that she got like tricked into sexual slavery her own fault. Because she exists. She has
Mhm.
no idea that the reason that she got basically kidnapped is because of the involvement of Tejas family. Could you imagine?
Yeah, I mean, but that just goes to show, like, I feel like that is a very common thing with, like, victims, of, like, sexual assault, or sexual battery. They tend to wanna blame themselves, and, like, we as a society don't really help with that,
No.
because how many times have you heard, like, people say, "Oh, well, it's no wonder that this person got assaulted, look at what they're wearing," or, "Oh, you shouldn't have led this person on," and
Yeah.
da 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 da,
So many ways
basically
to
being a woman.
absolve.
Yeah,
Listen,
exactly, like, no matter what you do, like, women are gonna be at fault for sexual assault, in some people's eyes, so and unfortunately that, gets back to the victim. It's, and it goes sometimes I feel like it goes with the stages of grief, like you're gonna be mad that it happened, and then you accept it, and then, you deny, like, and I mean, it's a whole cycle, and I feel like because people, especially in today's political climate, I feel like people, they always they don't like that people are now looking past the norm. Like, I know a lot of people, and I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but I promise I'm going somewhere with this. Like, I know nowadays, like, people are like, oh God, people are woke, this, that, and the other.
I hate that term
And
because
I
it
do
is
too.
incorrect. It's
It
so
is.
incorrect. It's so
But,
the people it's used derogatory. I'm sorry.
oh,
I'm
no,
gonna
no,
just
no,
take a
you're
moment
good.
because I need to educate. If you're gonna actually post this and the listeners are gonna hear this, when you say woke, the alternate to that is asleep,
Mm,
unaware.
mhm.
When you use woke as a derogatory term, you are using it in the utterly dumbest form of whatever you think you're doing. You're taking African American vernacular English and misapplying it to something that doesn't apply. Being aware that something is wrong, being aware that something is right or considered socially unacceptable doesn't mean that you're using woke in a derogatory you're awake. What's wrong with being awake? What's wrong
Yeah,
with being
and that's what
aware?
I'm saying, like,
Hate.
the point.
I hate that this term has been used in such a way when it was never meant. Stay woke meant stay aware. If you want to be
Mhm.
unaware and blissfully unaware,
That's
you're
all
just
you.
saying you want to stay ignorant and stupid. You okay with being stupid? I mean, you know what? I shouldn't even ask that question because a lot of people are. Anyway, carry on,
Yeah.
Laura.
Nah,
Go
you're
ahead.
good. Well, where I was going with this
Go
is,
ahead.
and I'm sorry to use the term, maybe I should have used something else, but it was
But
the
we
only
don't
thing,
anymore.
I could think of that was applicable here. But where I was going with this is that, like, people don't like, things that are quote unquote woke. But the problem is that people do not want to look beyond the lens of themselves. Like, a lot of people, like, actually, I'll even use a really good example. I just got done getting all 5 endings for Silent Hill F, and I went down this whole big rabbit hole, and there were people that, like, trashed the game because it dealt with a lot of, female issues in 1960s Japan, like abuse and being forced to marry and, you know, I don't wanna say being forced to have kids, but when you get married, there is the expectation of having kids. And this one particular YouTuber, I don't even know his name, but he was a fucking asshole, was basically talking about how trash the game was and how it was just a bunch of, like, you know, it was like feminist garbage. But the thing is that because he is a white male, he doesn't have, I don't wanna say this is true of all, but bear with me. So because this dude is a white guy, and this particular type of person doesn't know how to look at things beyond his own experience, and that's what really gets me. Just getting back to the sexual abuse thing, like, people, they always wanna blame people, but the thing is that they're not willing to put themselves in their shoes to understand, and I guess that's where I was trying to go with this. So, I kind of feel like because people don't wanna do that, they'll never understand, and I mean, it goes beyond that, but, this isn't the forum or the platform for it, but I will say that I think that if more people could put themselves in the other person's shoes, and if they could understand what these people go through And some of these people are often marginalized or written off entirely because of X reason. And I feel like we're kind of seeing that here. Like a lot of people, well, I won't say a lot of people, but I know Minchal has written, Hae soo off like she's nothing, and oh, well, she's not cute, she's not this, she's not that. But my whole point is that because people tend to victim blame, in turn, the victim will blame themselves as well. And because people can't go beyond themselves to understand, here we are. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I know that was a journey. I appreciate you letting me try to get there.
Understand what you're saying. I truly and honestly do. So I don't want to take away from the journey that you made to get to that point. Here's my problem with that statement. It's not actually a problem. Here's my not it's not even a counter argument to it. Here's what I'm gonna tell you about our girl Hae soo. It has gone beyond the point of victim blaming, actually. History and the entire course of her life has taught her that her existence is misery.
Mhm.
Her existence. It goes beyond anything I've ever seen. And maybe even it might even enhance your point. He that she exists to suffer. And anyone who is associated with her will suffer too. That
I
is what
get
her life has shown her. And it has been a self fulfilling prophecy from the day was birthed into this world. And her father told her this, that the reason that they lived this way is her fault. Min Chol has told her this,
Mhm.
that the reason that they live this way is her fault. And now I dare Taeha to come out of his face and say, why didn't you call me? This wouldn't have happened if you called.
Yeah, I
Because
think I
I
will be
am going to
mad.
crash out because this woman literally was like, I want to save you from the misery that is me. Do not want you to be involved in the misery I will experience. I will spare you. Like she literally wanted to spare this man the misery that is her situation. He probably thinks that the reason that she got ended up at the brothel is probably because of the debt.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing I wanna bring up real quick too, is the fact that, like, I think it was, like, this last chapter, I think, where she's like, "Oh, let's live in misery together," and I'm just like, "Girl, that is some Minchol, like, shadow shit right there. That is like the ghost of Minchol. You need to get rid of that."
It is not even a ghost of Minchal, it's the ghost of her past.
Yeah.
The ghost of her actual full on past. There has been no evidence except for those little patches of sunshine that she has experienced over the course of her 34 years of life that have countered the argument that she was born to suffer.
Yeah, I
You
hate
don't
that
like
for
it,
her.
but it's true.
It is.
And tries. She tries to, she does no harm to anyone. She really does try to live her life while doing no harm. And every time he tries to do no harm, harm is done unto her.
Yeah, I hate
He
that.
hate everything about it. Need Teha change because the situation that they have is unsustainable. It's absolutely fragile. It is a sandcastle, and it only takes one wave to knock it over. And
Yeah.
he is dead set, as you said before, on overwriting her past, but he doesn't know enough to know that he should be forging another path for her rather than try to overwrite her past to replace a memory because all of the memories are shit.
Yeah, I feel like he's so concentrated on the present that he's not thinking about the future too. Just to like piggyback off of what you're saying.
Absolutely.
You
And the
know?
future is going to be bleak if he continues along the path. If he does not
Mhm.
treat her as a partner, he is destined to repeat all the mistakes that have ever happened in Jesus' life.
Yeah.
Do you want to be the one he's talking about? Oh, I was willing to suffer. I was willing to be ruined. I was really willing to be broken apart,
Oh
but
my
not this way.
god.
Sarah, you don't understand the gravity of what you are saying, and you continue to say it.
Yes.
You continue to self soothe in such a way that you're like, oh, I'm willing to suffer. Oh, I'm willing to this. Oh, I'm willing to this.
But
You are
that's
not willing to it because every time it actually happens exactly the way you say you're willing to let it happen, you get upset. You are not, this is not for you. Do
yeah.
it different. Do it better. Be better than this.
I
And
was
if you
gonna
can't be
say
better than this, be gone.
I was
Because you're
gonna
going
s
to,
sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Because I know, like, I'm telling you, Auntie, that he will go from being a savior to a source of her suffering so fucking fast. And he is actually doing exactly that because yes, he does not control Taeha, but because he and Taeha have a contentious relationship and he is aware that Taeha may target Hae soo, he put Lee Jae in place to protect her. And then when there was a gap in that protection, Taeha did the exact thing that Taeha knew that he would do and exploit that gap and target Hae soo. He is not aware right now that the culprit of the situation that Hae soo is in is Taeha.
Mhm.
So instead of being like, no one's asked any questions, so he doesn't have the wherewithal to do it right now because he's angry. But he has now co-opted the sole source of her suffering and became a part of it. And that is not acceptable.
No, it's not. It really isn't. You know,
Unaware as he is of it, it's not acceptable.
but that just goes to show like how immature he actually is. Because he says that and just to go back real quick to what you were saying earlier, because I know we probably need to wrap this up in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But just to piggyback off of what you were saying, like that's something, like this is something that I've been saying for a while is the fact that like he says things, but he doesn't know the true meaning of it. Like when the whole thing when he's like, if your heart's not ready, use my body. And then you fucking get mad because that's what she did. And she said this is just purely a physical relationship, and then you get butt hurt. So my point is that like he has such a limited understanding of what it means to suffer for somebody else, and she does. And I think she is trying to save him from that because she doesn't want him to suffer, like you said. And I think that she would find it really hard to live with herself if he blamed her for his suffering.
Yep.
So I don't know, but
And here he is talking about suffering when he is actually the sole proprietor of his own sac sacrifice and suffering.
yeah,
It doesn't have
definitely.
to be that way, but you continue to be the architect of your own failure, and here we are. I want him to change it. Not gonna happen quickly, but until he does, they are fucked.
Yeah,
And
they
I
really are.
hate to be that way because Peso is changing, okay? She is changing
She is, and I'm
in a
glad
good
for
way.
it.
And she's like starting to demand things because she's getting tired. I think this woman is at her breaking point. Like she
Yeah,
broke down
agreed.
crying in there, just thinking to herself, what did I ever do? She's like, I've never done anything to anyone. Why is this always happening to me? Is this just what it is? She's at
Yeah,
her breaking point, and I would love to see her break. Not because I want her to shatter to pieces and never be put back together again like Humpty Dumpty, But I need people to see her break to the point where they understand underneath of all of that sorrow that there is a hurt and angry woman there that wants to understand why is she always the target of everyone's fucking why do you think it is okay to be angry at me?
Mhm. And I think that's a valid question for her, because she's just, like, stuck in the middle of this, and she just has no fucking clue, like, what's going on,
None.
She's in the dark, like, totally. She doesn't even have, like, matches to try to find her way. She's,
And
like,
she's doing the
feeling her
best she
way
can
in
to
the dark, you know?
feeling her way in the dark, clawing her way forward. She may not have ever gone home again. Like, she may not, like, that situation could have damaged her so freaking bad that she wouldn't have
Mhm.
been able to, she may not have survived it. People aren't merciful. People don't care about what Taeha said. The
No.
guys who, like, there was one guy in there that was willing to assault her. Like, he was going to do things to her that she did not like and did not want. He was about to ruin her. And now she's standing outside having an argument with this man that she was like, I was willing to face it. I was willing to endure it as long as you were unharmed. Now he is harmed and angry at her. And I was like, she should not be the target of your ire. If
Yeah.
anything, you should be angry at yourself
Yep.
for even allowing it to get to the point where she's still in that dirty, dank, semi-basement apartment. She's still got all these menial jobs that barely pay the bills. You have your present is not the present you thought it was. Do better.
Yep. I agree, you know?
That's all I got. That's all I got right now.
Well,
Because I
you
could
know
say
what?
way more,
I'll
but
take
I
it.
won't.
It's okay. You know what? We can always do this another episode.
We could always do this another episode. I didn't know we were actually going to go all the way down that rabbit hole, but since we there, I decided to tap dance all the way to Wonderland because I have feelings about this. It is such frustrating experience to watch an emotionally stunted person not be able to articulate their emotions and then feel the need to like unload those emotions on someone who's not got not one clue of what's
Yeah,
going on.
agreed.
Like it's just it goes beyond emotional maturity. It's emotional stuntedness that like you can't.
Yeah,
What do you want? You either it's Uchi Wally or one Mike. Okay, you either want her to rely on you because you are reliable, or you want her to look at you crazy and treat you like a child because you're childish. You gonna have to pick a
exactly.
struggle, my dude. Pick a struggle and stay there, stay in your lane, or change. And the change is gonna have to happen come hell or high water. Anyway, I'm gonna stop preaching. I'm done.
Well, you know what? This is why I love doing this with you. Because you are my friend, and I love you. And I love
I,
your
I
opinions.
oh, thank you. You know what? It's been sitting on my soul since last Friday.
Oh, it is totally fine. Well, with that, my beautiful flowers, we are going to call this done.
Done.
We are done. We appreciate you joining us for this reaction to the recent kidnapping arc with Hae soo. We hope you like, subscribe, comment, what have you. We appreciate any support you could show us. And please feel free to join our Discord at the Withered Flowers. We'll be happy to have you. Lots of community, friends, and fun. I know myself, Digital Girl, and Study Bunny, Madam Void, all of them are on there. So join us if you like. And with that, we will call this done. So, good night, everybody. And thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.